Hey there, amazing listener. Welcome back to Mind-Blowing Motive, the place where your everyday thoughts turn into extraordinary power. Have you ever wondered why some days you wake up full of energy and excitement, while on other days you just can't seem to find the motivation to even start? Well, it's not because you're lazy or undisciplined. It's actually because of something very real happening inside your brain. Dopamine. Dopamine is that little spark in your brain that drives your motivation, focus, and sense of reward. It's like your brain's personal fuel for achievement and happiness. When your dopamine levels are high, you feel unstoppable. You take action, stay consistent, and actually enjoy the process of growth. But when it's low, even the simplest task feels like a mountain to climb. The good news? You don't need expensive supplements or complicated routines to raise your dopamine. There are simple, natural habits, what I call dopamine habits, that can literally boost your motivation by 250% or more. These habits train your brain to release dopamine in healthy, sustainable ways that keep you productive, excited, and deeply fulfilled. In this video, we're diving into 6 powerful dopamine habits that will help you reprogram your mind, rebuild your energy, and reignite your passion for life. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn how small changes in your daily routine can completely transform your motivation levels. Ready? Let's begin with Habit 1. Habit 1. Start your day with a dopamine morning routine. The way you start your morning sets the tone for your entire day. Most people don't realize that the first 60 minutes after waking up determine how their brain releases dopamine throughout the day. If you wake up and immediately grab your phone, scroll through social media, and flood your brain with instant gratification, you're already draining your dopamine before the day even begins. It's like spending all your motivation points before you've even gotten out of bed. So here's the truth. How you begin your day is how your brain begins to work for you. If you want to feel more energized, focused, and naturally motivated, you need a morning routine that builds dopamine, not one that burns it out. Let's break this down step by step. When you wake up, your brain is in what's called the theta state. This is a relaxed, creative, and absorbent brainwave pattern. It's the perfect time to set your emotional and mental direction for the day. So instead of rushing into stress, you can use that window to gently feed your mind the right kind of energy. Step 1. Avoid your phone for the first 30 minutes. This single habit can transform your dopamine balance. When you check notifications right after waking, your brain gets hit with a flood of unpredictable dopamine spikes. Likes, messages, and news headlines give you tiny bursts of pleasure, but they also create a pattern of dopamine dependency. That means you'll need more and more stimulation to feel normal, making you restless and unmotivated later. By avoiding your phone early in the morning, you protect your brain's natural dopamine rhythm and preserve motivation for real goals. Step 2. Expose yourself to sunlight. Within the first 10-15 minutes of waking up, step outside or open your window to let natural light hit your eyes. Morning sunlight isn't just about vitamin D. It's one of the most powerful natural triggers for dopamine release. Studies show that sunlight exposure increases both dopamine and serotonin, improving mood, energy, and focus. It also helps regulate your circadian rhythm, which means you'll sleep better and wake up more refreshed. If you can, combine sunlight with movement, stretching, walking, or deep breathing. That simple combination signals your brain that it's time to wake up, move, and achieve. Step 3, cold water exposure. Now, I know this one sounds uncomfortable, but it's worth it. Cold showers or even splashing cold water on your face can cause a big dopamine release that lasts for hours. The cold activates your body's survival system, triggering a neurochemical response that floods your brain with dopamine and norepinephrine. The best part? Unlike the short, artificial hits you get from scrolling or snacking, this natural dopamine boost comes with energy, alertness, and mental clarity that stays with you for hours. Step 4. Move your body just a little. You don't need to do a full workout. Even 10 minutes of stretching, yoga, or brisk walking can dramatically increase dopamine and endorphin levels. Physical movement tells your brain that you're alive and ready for action. It doesn't just boost motivation, it builds confidence and mental resilience. When you start your day with movement, your brain associates effort with reward, which is the foundation of long-term motivation. Step 5. Practice gratitude or visualization. Once your body is awake, it's time to engage your mind. Take a few minutes to write down or think about 3 things you're grateful for, or visualize the day you want to have. Gratitude is one of the most natural ways to increase dopamine because it helps your brain focus on abundance rather than lack. Visualization, on the other hand, gives your mind a clear direction, what success looks like and how it feels. Both habits teach your brain that progress and positivity are rewarding, encouraging it to seek more of that feeling throughout the day. Step 6. Feed your brain right. After waking up, your brain needs fuel to maintain dopamine production. Avoid sugary breakfasts or high caffeine jolts that give you a quick rush and then crash. Instead, go for foods that support dopamine synthesis, like eggs, nuts, yogurt, oats, or fruits. These foods contain amino acids such as tyrosine, which your brain converts into dopamine. Drinking enough water also matters. Even mild dehydration can reduce alertness and motivation. Now let's tie all this together. Imagine 2 versions of you. Version 1, you wake up, grab your phone, scroll for 20 minutes, rush into your day, skip breakfast, and feel tired and distracted by noon. Your motivation fades fast and you end up procrastinating on important work. Version 2, you wake up, stretch, open your window, take a few deep breaths of fresh air, and feel the sunlight on your skin. You splash your face with cold water, move your body, express gratitude, and start your day calmly. Your mind feels sharp, your energy is stable, and you're ready to take on challenges with confidence. Which version do you think will achieve more, feel better, and stay motivated longer? Obviously, the second one. A dopamine morning routine doesn't just make you more productive, it rewires your brain to enjoy discipline. You start craving the feeling of progress instead of instant pleasure. You begin to see hard work as something rewarding, not something to avoid. And that's where real motivation begins. Remember, motivation isn't about waiting for inspiration to strike. It's about creating the right brain environment for motivation to live in you every day. By making these small adjustments to your morning, you give your brain permission to release dopamine naturally and steadily throughout the day. Start with one habit tomorrow. Don't try to change everything at once. Maybe just skip your phone in the morning or take a 2-minute sunlight walk. Over time, your brain will start to link mornings with motivation, and before you know it, you'll wake up excited to move forward. That's how powerful these small dopamine-based routines can be. So if you truly want to boost your motivation by 250%, it starts the moment you open your eyes. Protect your dopamine, build it naturally, and let every morning become a launch pad for your highest energy and focus. Now that you've learned how to set your brain up for success in the morning, let's move on to habit 2, where we'll dive into another powerful dopamine habit that keeps your motivation high all day long. Habit 2, the small wins strategy. Train your brain for continuous motivation. One of the biggest motivation killers is expecting huge results overnight. You start a new project, begin a new habit, or set a big goal, and you want success immediately. But when progress feels slow, your brain loses excitement. That's because dopamine loves progress, not perfection. It's released every time your brain recognizes that you're moving forward, even in tiny steps. That's the secret behind small wins. They keep your dopamine system active and your motivation strong. When you chase big goals, your brain often feels overwhelmed. It sees a huge mountain and doesn't know where to begin. But when you focus on small, achievable wins, your brain gets a clear signal. I'm succeeding. Each little accomplishment triggers a dopamine release, which gives you pleasure, satisfaction, and the desire to keep going. This creates a positive feedback loop. Win, dopamine, motivation, action, win again. That's how momentum is built. Let's take an example. Imagine you want to write a book. If you set your goal as finish my 300-page book, your brain will freeze. It feels too far away. But if your goal is write one page today, that's doable. When you finish that one page, your brain gets a quick dopamine hit that says, nice job. That pleasure motivates you to write another page tomorrow. Day by day, the book gets done, and your brain learns that effort equals reward. The same principle works for fitness, learning, saving money, or any goal. The trick is to break your big dream into small, measurable actions that you can complete daily or weekly. The smaller the step, the easier it is to start. And the more often you start, the more dopamine you create. Here's the science behind it. Your brain's reward system, the mesolimbic pathway, is driven by dopamine signals. When you achieve something, even small, your brain releases dopamine to encourage you to repeat that behavior. But when you set unrealistic goals or focus only on what's not done, your brain releases stress hormones like cortisol instead. That's why people often quit. They don't feel rewarded soon enough. Small wins solve this problem by making your progress visible and satisfying from day one. So how do you build this habit into your daily life? Let's break it down into practical steps. Step 1, define micro goals. Instead of saying, I want to lose 20 pounds, say, I'll take a 20-minute walk today. Instead of I'll learn English fluently, say, I'll study 10 new words. Micro goals reduce resistance. They're small enough to start immediately, but meaningful enough to trigger dopamine when you complete them. Over time, these micro goals stack up into massive results. Step 2, track your wins. Your brain loves visual proof of progress. That's why tracking systems like checklists, habit trackers, or journals works so well. Every time you check off a task, you're giving your brain a tiny reward signal. That simple action reinforces the behavior. It might look small, but over time, your dopamine system becomes addicted to progress instead of procrastination. Try using a whiteboard, app, or even sticky notes to track what you've done. Seeing your progress grow creates motivation that doesn't fade. Step 3, celebrate progress, not perfection. Dopamine doesn't care about how big your win is. It only cares that you recognize it. So when you complete a task, pause for a moment to celebrate it mentally. Say to yourself, I did that. Smile. Feel that small wave of accomplishment. It may sound silly, but this emotional acknowledgement tells your brain that your effort matters. That's how you rewire your mindset from I have to I get to. Step 4, use the 2-minute rule. This rule is magical for breaking procrastination. If a task feels too big or boring, tell yourself you'll do it for just 2 minutes. Start reading for 2 minutes, cleaning for 2 minutes, writing for 2 minutes. Once you begin, your brain gets a small dopamine release simply for taking action, and you often continue longer because momentum kicks in. The hardest part of any task is starting. Dopamine makes it easier. Step 5, create a reward system. Your brain needs to associate your hard work with something positive. For example, after finishing a focused work session, reward yourself with a short walk, a favorite snack, or 5 minutes of music. But keep rewards small and healthy. Avoid using junk food or endless scrolling as a prize. You want your brain to connect real effort with real reward, not instant gratification. Over time, your brain starts craving that satisfaction from meaningful work instead of distractions. Let's visualize this habit in real life. Meet Sarah, a college student struggling with motivation. She wanted to improve her grades but kept feeling overwhelmed. So she tried the small wins method. Instead of saying, I'll study for 5 hours, she set a goal, study for 20 minutes. When she finished, she checked it off and gave herself a small reward, listening to her favorite song. The next day she repeated it, and soon 20 minutes became 40. Her motivation grew naturally. Within a month, her study sessions became a habit. Her brain had learned to associate learning with dopamine-fueled satisfaction. This approach works for everyone: students, professionals, entrepreneurs, or anyone who struggles with procrastination. You don't need to feel motivated first. You just need to start small. Motivation grows after action, not before it. Each time you finish something, dopamine says, "Good job, let's do more." Think about it like climbing stairs. You don't jump to the top in one leap, you climb one step at a time. Every step gives you a sense of progress, which keeps you moving upward. That's exactly how dopamine habits work. The more small wins you experience, the stronger your motivation becomes. The magic is that small wins shift your focus from failure to growth. Instead of thinking, "I'm not there yet," your brain says, "I'm getting better." And that single shift can completely transform your life. Suddenly, goals that once felt impossible start to feel exciting. So from now on, don't wait for huge milestones to celebrate. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, acknowledge it. Write it down, smile at it. Let your brain feel that progress. That's the dopamine flow you've been missing. The small win strategy is one of the simplest but most powerful tools to multiply your motivation. It builds momentum, rewires your habits, and keeps your energy consistent. When you stack enough small wins, success becomes automatic. Now that you know how to use dopamine to reward progress instead of perfection, get ready for the next level. In Habit 3, we'll explore another powerful dopamine booster, one that connects deeply to your purpose and emotional drive, helping you stay motivated even when things get tough. Habit 3, connect effort with purpose. The dopamine meaning link. Here's a truth that most people don't realize. Motivation isn't just about having energy, it's about having a reason. You can drink all the coffee you want, read motivational quotes all day, or even create detailed plans. But if your actions don't feel meaningful, your brain won't release much dopamine. That's because dopamine is released not only when you achieve a goal, but also when your brain believes the goal matters. When you connect your daily effort to something meaningful, a deeper purpose, a personal mission, or someone you care about, you create what scientists call purpose-driven dopamine. This kind of dopamine doesn't burn out quickly like the instant hit from social media or random rewards. It lasts longer, keeps you emotionally steady, and helps you stay motivated even when progress feels slow. Think about this. Have you ever stayed up late working on something that truly mattered to you? Maybe you were building a dream project, helping someone in need, or preparing for something you cared deeply about. You weren't just chasing a reward, you were fueled by meaning. That's dopamine working in its purest form. The brain is wired to seek reward, but purposeful reward creates the strongest motivation. When your goals are emotionally connected to who you are and what you value, your brain treats progress as something sacred. It releases dopamine, not just for the outcome, but for every step of the process. That's why purpose-driven people seem unstoppable. They're not chasing pleasure, they're chasing meaning. So how do you apply this dopamine principle to your own life? Let's break it down. Step 1, define your why. Behind every goal, there's a deeper reason that gives it life. Ask yourself, why do I want this? Not just the surface answer, like to make money or to look better, but the emotional core behind it. For example, maybe you want financial stability because you want to take care of your family. Or maybe you want to get fit because you want to feel confident and live longer. That emotional reason is your why. Once your brain connects your effort to a meaningful outcome, It releases steady dopamine to keep you on track. Step 2. Create emotional anchors. Write your why somewhere visible. A sticky note on your mirror, a message on your phone wallpaper, or a line in your journal. Every time you feel unmotivated, look at it. Visual cues remind your brain why it's worth the effort. This keeps dopamine flowing during hard moments. You're no longer just doing a task. You're doing something that moves you closer to your purpose. Step 3. Reframe your hard work. Most people think effort equals pain, but dopamine thrives when effort equals progress. Change your inner dialogue from I have to I get to. You don't have to go to work. You get to show your skills. You don't have to study. You get to learn and grow. This tiny shift changes the emotional tone of your actions. When effort feels rewarding instead of punishing, your brain starts to enjoy discipline. Let's take an example. Suppose you're learning English. Some days it feels boring or hard. But when you remind yourself, I'm not just learning a language, I'm opening doors to new opportunities and global friendships, your dopamine system reactivates. Suddenly, every study session feels valuable because it connects to your identity and dreams. That's the dopamine purpose link at work. Step 4. Help others through your goals. Here's something most people never consider. Dopamine is not only personal, it's social. When your actions benefit others, your brain releases pro-social dopamine, a form of reward linked with empathy, belonging, and shared happiness. Volunteering, teaching, mentoring, or even supporting a friend in their journey gives you deep satisfaction because your brain interprets it as meaningful contribution. The more your goals help others, the stronger and more sustainable your motivation becomes. Step 5. Visualize the ripple effect. Every effort you make has a ripple effect that goes beyond what you see. For instance, if you're building a business, it's not just about earning money. It's about creating something valuable for others. If you're working out, it's not just about your body. It's about inspiring your family to be healthier. When you visualize that broader impact, your brain recognizes your purpose is bigger than you, and your dopamine system rewards that significance. Step 6. Celebrate meaningful milestones. Not every reward has to be material. Some of the most powerful dopamine triggers are emotional ones, like gratitude, pride, and joy. When you hit a milestone, pause and reflect on why it matters. How is your life better because of it? Who else benefited? By attaching gratitude to progress, you multiply the dopamine response and make motivation easier to sustain. Here's a story to illustrate. There was a man named Jake who worked as a nurse. His job was exhausting. Long hours, endless pressure, constant challenges. At one point, he felt burned out and questioned if he could keep going. But one day, a patient's family thanked him with tears in their eyes for saving their loved one. That moment changed everything. Jake realized his work wasn't just a job, it was a mission. Every life he touched mattered. From that day, he started connecting every shift, every tired hour, to that sense of purpose. His motivation skyrocketed. Same work, same hours, but now powered by meaning. That's the magic of the dopamine purpose link. When you connect what you do to why you do it, effort transforms into fulfillment. Your brain releases dopamine not because of quick pleasure, but because it senses progress towards something deeply valuable. That kind of motivation doesn't fade overnight. It becomes a lifelong drive. You might notice something interesting when you live this way. Small tasks no longer feel meaningless. Even washing dishes, studying, or doing paperwork can feel rewarding when you see them as part of a bigger purpose. You're not just completing chores, you're contributing to your story. So here's your challenge. Before you start any task this week, pause and ask yourself one question. Why does this matter to me? Take 5 seconds to answer it. That 5-second connection will completely change how you feel while doing it. When effort and purpose meet, dopamine becomes your ally, not your enemy. You no longer need to chase motivation. It naturally flows from within because you're living with intention. So to boost your motivation by 250%, stop seeking excitement and start seeking meaning. The more purpose you attach to your daily actions, the more energy and joy you'll feel doing them. That's what separates truly motivated people from the rest. They don't work harder. They work with deeper purpose. Now that you've learned how to fuel your dopamine through meaning, let's move forward to habit 4, where you'll discover how to use novelty and curiosity to rewire your brain for long-term motivation and creativity. Habit 4, the power of novelty. Reignite your brain through curiosity. If you've ever wondered why you feel super excited when you start something new, a new hobby, a new relationship, a new project, but that excitement fades after a while, the answer lies in one simple thing: dopamine and novelty. Your brain loves new experiences. It's wired to release dopamine whenever you explore, learn, or experience something unfamiliar. That's why trying new things makes you feel alive. It's not just excitement, it's your brain rewarding curiosity. But here's the problem. Once something becomes routine, the brain gets used to it. The dopamine levels drop and the excitement fades. This is called dopamine adaptation. The same activity that once felt thrilling now feels boring. That's why people lose motivation halfway through a project, or why routines sometimes turn dull. However, the good news is you can use novelty intentionally to keep your motivation alive, without throwing your life into chaos. The secret isn't to constantly chase new things. It's to add small doses of novelty into your existing routines. When you feed your brain with new experiences, new challenges, and new learning, you reignite your natural curiosity. That curiosity triggers dopamine, which in turn boosts motivation, focus, and creativity. Let's explore how to do that practically. Step 1. Change the way you do regular things. You don't have to completely change your routine, just tweak it. Take a new route to work, rearrange your workspace, listen to different music while exercising, or try studying in a new environment. These little changes may seem minor, but they stimulate your brain's reward system because it notices something different. Your brain says, "Oh, this is new," and releases dopamine to help you pay attention. That small surge in dopamine gives you a sense of freshness that can completely shift your mood. Step 2. Learn something new every week. Curiosity is a dopamine goldmine. When you learn something new, whether it's a skill, a language, a recipe, or even a random fact, your brain feels rewarded. The act of discovery releases dopamine because your mind associates learning with progress. And progress, as we discussed before, is the ultimate motivator. Try reading one chapter of a new book, watching a documentary, or taking an online course. It doesn't have to be related to your job or goals, just something that excites your mind. Step 3. Set small challenges for yourself. Your brain loves a challenge, especially when it feels achievable. Challenges make your dopamine system come alive because they create anticipation, the feeling of, "Can I do it?" Every time you complete a challenge, you get a powerful reward signal that makes you want to continue. For example, if you usually walk for 20 minutes, try 25. If you write 500 words daily, aim for 550. If you're learning a skill, push yourself just 5% further. That little stretch keeps your dopamine system active without overwhelming you. Step 4. Break monotony through micro-adventures. A micro-adventure is something small but exciting that breaks your routine, like trying a new cafe, exploring a nearby park, having a deep conversation with someone new, or visiting a place you've never been. Your brain thrives on exploration because novelty equals potential reward. You don't need to travel across the world to feel alive. Even small adventures create that same dopamine spark that reminds you life is full of possibilities. Step 5. Engage your creative side. Creativity is one of the most natural ways to boost dopamine. When you create, whether it's drawing, writing, dancing, designing, or even cooking, you're giving your brain a playground for imagination. Creativity brings novelty from within. It doesn't matter if you're good at it or not. The process of creating something new releases dopamine because your brain loves experimentation. If you've been stuck in a cycle of repetition, spend 20 minutes a day doing something creative, and you'll notice your motivation rise naturally. Step 6. Reward curiosity instead of perfection. Many people stop exploring because they're afraid of failing. But failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the path to it. When you allow yourself to try new things without needing to be perfect, you give your brain freedom to explore and learn. Every time you attempt something new, even if it doesn't go perfectly, your brain still rewards you with dopamine for trying. That's why curious people often feel more alive. They're constantly feeding their dopamine through exploration, not just achievement. Let's look at a real-life example. Meet Lisa, a software engineer who used to love her job. But after 5 years, she started feeling drained and unmotivated. Everything felt repetitive. She thought maybe she needed a new career. Instead, she decided to apply the dopamine novelty principle. She started learning photography on weekends, changed her morning routine, and began taking short trips nearby. She also challenged herself to code small creative projects outside work, something fun, not for her company. Within a month, her motivation came roaring back. Her brain wasn't tired, it was just bored. Once she fed it with novelty and curiosity again, her dopamine system reignited her drive. That's the beauty of novelty. It keeps your brain young, flexible, and excited about life. You start seeing opportunities everywhere, and even small changes feel energizing. But remember, balance matters. Too much novelty, like constantly switching goals or chasing excitement, can lead to distraction and burnout. Your goal isn't to constantly jump from thing to thing. It's to find a healthy rhythm, stability for focus, novelty for inspiration. Think of your brain like a fire. Routine is the wood that keeps it burning, and novelty is the spark that keeps it alive. You need both. Here's something powerful you can do starting tomorrow. Make a list of 5 small new things you'll try in the next week. Maybe it's listening to a podcast in a new genre, cooking a dish you've never made, trying a new workout, or reading a book outside your usual interests. Each one will feed your brain with healthy doses of dopamine that make life feel more exciting again. And as you explore new things, stay curious. Ask questions, observe, challenge your mind to think differently. Curiosity isn't just for children. It's the key to keeping your mind engaged and your motivation strong as an adult. When you live curiously, your dopamine doesn't depend on external rewards. It comes from discovery itself. Every day becomes an adventure, and that's when life feels deeply fulfilling. So if you truly want to keep your motivation alive, never stop feeding your curiosity. Let novelty become your daily vitamin for the brain. It keeps you inspired, alert, and creative, and turns ordinary days into extraordinary experiences. Now that you've learned how novelty can recharge your dopamine system and bring back that spark of excitement, let's move on to habit 5, where we'll talk about how rest, recovery, and balance actually increase your dopamine levels instead of draining them. Habit 5, the rest-reward connection. Recharge your dopamine through recovery. Here's a truth that most people overlook. Your brain doesn't create endless dopamine. It's a chemical system that needs time to recharge. In today's world, we often think motivation comes from doing more, working harder, and pushing limits every single day. But that's not how the human brain is built. Real, sustainable motivation comes from balance, the perfect rhythm between effort and recovery. Think of your brain like a battery. Every time you focus, work, or chase a goal, you spend dopamine, the feeling of excitement, energy, and focus. That's dopamine being used. But if you keep spending without recharging, your dopamine levels drop, leaving you feeling tired, uninspired, and emotionally flat. That's why rest isn't laziness. It's dopamine management. The truth is, your brain releases dopamine not only during action, but also during recovery and reflection. When you allow yourself to rest in meaningful ways, sleeping well, relaxing in nature, meditating, or simply doing something fun, your dopamine system resets and prepares for the next wave of motivation. Without that reset, your brain becomes overstimulated and dulls its response to pleasure. In short, no rest, no motivation. Let's break down how rest and balance actually increase your dopamine levels. Step 1. Respect your sleep. If you don't sleep well, your dopamine system can't function properly. During deep sleep, your brain restores neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. It clears out toxins and resets your reward circuits. Studies show that even one night of poor sleep can reduce dopamine receptor sensitivity by up to 40%. That means no matter how much coffee or motivation talk you have, your brain simply can't feel the drive. So make sleep your secret weapon. Aim for 7-8 hours of quality sleep each night. Avoid screens an hour before bed, keep your room cool and dark, and go to sleep at the same time every night. If you want your motivation to double or triple, start by fixing your sleep. You can't outwork a tired brain. Step 2. Practice mindful breaks. Taking short, intentional breaks throughout your day doesn't waste time. It restores it. When you rest consciously, your dopamine pathways recover. That's why ideas often pop into your head while showering, walking, or just relaxing. During those moments, your brain quietly refuels and reorganizes thoughts. Try the 50-10 rule. Work with full focus for 50 minutes, then take a 10-minute break. During that break, step away from screens. Stretch, breathe, look out the window, or take a short walk. It's not about escaping work. It's about creating space for your brain to breathe. You'll come back sharper, calmer, and more motivated. Step 3. Disconnect from digital overstimulation. This one's huge. The modern world constantly bombards your brain with dopamine triggers, notifications, social media, short videos, endless scrolling. Each ping gives you a small dopamine spike, but they add up fast and desensitize your brain. Over time, real-life activities like reading, studying, or building something meaningful feel less rewarding because your brain is hooked on fast dopamine. To recharge your motivation, schedule dopamine detox moments. Pick a few hours or even a full day each week where you unplug completely. No screens, no notifications, no multitasking. Instead, engage in slow, grounding activities. Reading, walking, journaling, or spending time with loved ones. It might feel strange at first, but soon you'll notice something magical. Your focus returns, your mood lifts, and motivation flows naturally again. Step 4. Reconnect with nature. Spending time outdoors is one of the simplest ways to restore dopamine. Natural environments lower stress hormones and increase endorphins and dopamine. Even a short walk in a park or sitting under a tree can refresh your mind in ways technology never can. The sights, sounds, and smells of nature remind your brain that life isn't about constant stimulation. It's about presence and balance. Try adding nature breaks to your week. If you live in a city, find a quiet outdoor spot or a garden to visit regularly. Just 20 minutes in nature can reset your mood and restore your motivation. Step 5. Do something purely for joy. One of the most overlooked dopamine habits is play. Adults often forget how to have fun. We get so caught up in responsibilities that we forget the simple joy of doing things for no reason. Dancing, playing games, laughing, painting, or exploring. But play is a natural dopamine booster because it combines creativity, novelty, and relaxation. It tells your brain, Life isn't all pressure. There's joy here too. So make time each week to play. Not on your phone, not for work, just something that makes you smile. It might feel silly at first, but that joy is fuel. It reminds your brain that motivation comes from feeling alive, not just achieving goals. Step 6. Reflect and reward yourself. Rest isn't only physical, it's emotional. Reflection gives your brain closure on effort. When you pause to appreciate what you've done, big or small, you complete the dopamine cycle. Without reflection, your brain doesn't register your progress, and motivation drops. Each night, take a minute to think, what did I accomplish today? Write it down if you like. Even tiny wins count. You'll end the day with satisfaction instead of anxiety. That emotional reward keeps your dopamine system balanced and ready for tomorrow. Let's look at an example. Imagine Daniel, a hardworking entrepreneur. He used to grind 14 hours a day, chasing success nonstop. At first it felt great. His dopamine was sky high. But after months he hit burnout. Work stopped feeling exciting. He couldn't focus, and nothing brought joy. Then he changed one thing. He built recovery into his schedule. He started sleeping properly, taking walks, having real breaks, and spending weekends tech-free. Within weeks, his energy came back, his ideas flowed again, and motivation returned stronger than ever. He didn't work more. He worked better because his dopamine system was finally balanced. That's what rest really does. It recharges your motivation engine. You don't lose progress by resting, you multiply it. Your brain performs best when it oscillates between focus and recovery, effort and ease. This rhythm creates the perfect environment for steady dopamine flow and long-term motivation. So if you're tired, unmotivated, or burned out, don't ask, what more should I do? Instead, ask, how can I recharge better? Sometimes the best way to boost motivation isn't by pushing harder. It's by slowing down, breathing, and letting your mind restore its spark. Your brain needs silence, rest, and joy to refuel. When you give it that, your focus sharpens, your mood lifts, and your motivation skyrockets again. Now that you know how rest and balance strengthen your dopamine system, let's move to habit 6, where we'll uncover the final dopamine secret, how gratitude and giving transform your brain's chemistry and create unstoppable, long-lasting motivation from the heart. Habit 6. Gratitude giving the dopamine loop of lasting motivation. Here's something fascinating about motivation that most people don't realize. The greatest and most sustainable dopamine boost doesn't come from getting, it comes from giving. When you help others, express gratitude, or do something kind, your brain releases a balanced mix of dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, the happiness trifecta. This chemical combination doesn't just make you feel good for a few minutes. It rewires your brain for long-term motivation, fulfillment, and inner peace. Think about it. How many times have you achieved something, felt great for a while, and then suddenly lost the excitement? That's because dopamine from achievement fades quickly. It's designed to motivate you to seek the next thing. But when you add gratitude and giving to your life, you activate a deeper, steadier source of motivation, one that's not dependent on constant new goals, likes, or recognition. Let's break it down. Step 1. The science of gratitude. When you practice gratitude, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, which instantly lift your mood and increase optimism. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, training your brain to find joy in the now instead of chasing someday. Over time, this builds resilience. You stop depending on outside rewards for motivation because your brain starts generating it from within. You don't need a perfect life to practice gratitude. You just need awareness. Each morning or night, think of 3 things you're thankful for, not just big wins, but small moments too. The smell of coffee, a friendly smile, a peaceful morning. Write them down or say them out loud. This small daily ritual literally rewires your neural circuits to expect joy instead of stress. Here's the secret. When you feel grateful, your brain rewards you with more energy and clarity to take action. Gratitude doesn't make you lazy. It actually motivates you to create more good things to be grateful for. Step 2. The power of giving. Giving triggers the same dopamine pathways as receiving rewards, but with a twist, it adds oxytocin, the connection hormone. That means every act of kindness, generosity, or service not only boosts your motivation, but also strengthens your relationships and emotional well-being. You don't need to donate millions or do grand gestures. Sometimes the smallest acts, helping a friend, listening without judgment, offering encouragement, create the biggest internal shifts. Your brain interprets these acts as meaningful contributions, and meaning is one of the strongest motivators a human can have. Here's a real-world example. Imagine Sarah, a college student struggling with motivation. She tried all the tricks, goal lists, caffeine, self-talk, but still felt drained. Then she started volunteering at a local children's center just once a week. At first, she thought she didn't have the time, but after each visit, she noticed something remarkable. She felt alive again. Her energy returned, stress went down, and her motivation in other areas, like studying and exercising, improved. Why? Because giving made her brain feel purposeful and rewarded her with a powerful, steady dopamine flow. Step 3. The gratitude giving cycle. Here's where it gets powerful. Gratitude fuels giving, and giving fuels gratitude. When you're thankful, you naturally want to share your abundance. And when you give, you experience gratitude more deeply. This creates a self-sustaining dopamine loop that keeps your motivation alive, not the kind that burns out after one goal, but the kind that grows stronger over time. This is why the most fulfilled, high-performing people on earth, from top athletes to spiritual leaders, all practice gratitude and giving. It keeps their minds grounded and their motivation steady, even when challenges come. Step 4. Express your gratitude openly. Most people feel gratitude but rarely express it. When you tell someone you appreciate them, you're not only making their day better, you're doubling your own dopamine release. Saying thank you, writing a kind message, or acknowledging someone's effort activates both your emotional and reward systems. Try this today. Send one message of appreciation. It could be to a friend, parent, coworker, or even a teacher. Tell them something specific you value about them. Watch how you feel afterward, calmer, lighter, more motivated. That's dopamine and oxytocin working together to make your brain happier and more driven. Step 5. Practice gratitude visualization. This is a powerful dopamine exercise. Close your eyes and visualize one thing you're truly grateful for. It could be a moment, a person, or even a goal you've achieved. Feel that gratitude fully. Imagine every detail and emotion around it. When you do this, your brain releases dopamine as if you're experiencing it again in real life. This technique can instantly shift your mindset when you're feeling stuck or unmotivated. It reminds your brain that there's already goodness around you and that positive energy pushes you to create more. Step 6. Combine gratitude with goals. Here's a next-level habit. Every time you write down a goal, pair it with gratitude. For example, instead of saying, "I want to earn more money," say, "I'm grateful for the skills I already have that can help me earn more." This rewires your brain to see your goals as exciting opportunities rather than stressful burdens. Gratitude turns ambition into joy, not pressure. When you do this regularly, you'll notice your motivation shifting from "I have to" "I get to." That small mental change can make all the difference. Step 7. Turn gratitude into a lifestyle. Make thankfulness part of everything you do while eating, working, learning, or talking. When you anchor gratitude into daily life, dopamine stays stable. You'll start to notice beauty in ordinary moments. And that's the secret. Consistent gratitude keeps you motivated, not because everything's perfect, but because you've trained your brain to find meaning everywhere. So the next time you feel your motivation fading, don't chase the next big reward. Pause and ask yourself, what am I thankful for right now? Whom can I help today? These questions awaken your brain's natural drive. Remember, dopamine-driven motivation is strongest when it's connected to purpose, not pressure. Gratitude gives you that purpose. It fills your mind with appreciation, not comparison. It reminds you that progress is already happening and that your life, even in its imperfections, is full of reasons to move forward. When you combine gratitude, giving, and meaningful action, you create unstoppable motivation from the inside out. It's not about hype or willpower anymore. It's about harmony. So start small. Write down 3 things you're thankful for tonight. Do 1 act of kindness tomorrow. Watch how your mood, energy, and focus begin to rise. That's not luck, that's your dopamine system waking up. And as this final dopamine habit becomes part of your lifestyle, you'll notice something beautiful. Your motivation won't just rise by 250%. It will sustain itself effortlessly because it's now powered by gratitude, love, and genuine purpose. Now, let's wrap everything up in our final words, where we'll tie all 6 dopamine habits together and remind you how to keep your motivation alive every single day. Final words. Congratulations. You've now discovered 6 powerful dopamine habits that can boost your motivation by 250%. From celebrating small wins, connecting your effort to purpose, exploring novelty, respecting rest, and ending with gratitude and giving, each habit is designed to work with your brain, not against it. Motivation isn't about forcing yourself to work harder. It's about creating the right environment inside your mind, where dopamine naturally fuels your drive, focus, and energy. Start applying these habits one by one, or combine them to create a daily system that keeps your motivation consistent, even during tough days. Remember, small actions compound into massive results when fueled by the right dopamine strategies. Hey, loving listeners, if you found these tips life-changing, make sure to subscribe to Mind-Blowing Motive for more motivational and educational content. Activate notifications so you never miss a chance to learn how to transform your mindset, build unstoppable motivation, and create the life you've always dreamed of. Your brain has the power. Now use it wisely.